Welcome to the Courage to Live podcast. My name is Josh Bitzko, and I'm a retired police captain with 24 years of experience out of Las Vegas. Currently, I travel the country and I teach people about courage, resilience, and leadership. Joined by my wife and co-host, Jenna.
Hi.
We just got done with our 2-part Uvalde podcast series. And now we're going to kind of get back into the mental health space a little bit. Some of the things that we're going to talk about. Don't worry, I'm still traveling, but it's good. It's good to, got to go to Florida, meet some great people, and sleep in a hotel room during the historic winter storm, which seems to happen every time I travel.
Yeah. East Coasters hate to see you coming.
I know.
You bring a polar vortex.
Yeah, literally, I would say so many times when I travel, there's flooding or cold. One time I was in Ohio during a polar vortex, got to the hotel. It was late at night and put all my stuff in my room, wearing a t-shirt and
But
joggers.
You were already just getting over being sick.
Yeah.
At this point, you still kind of had a little tail end of it left.
Yeah. And I go down, talking to you on the phone, go down and order a burger from the bar and grill at the hotel, and the fire alarm goes off and they start evacuating everybody. And mind you, it is like 7 below. And we have to evacuate out the front. I tell them, okay, I'm going to run up and grab my jacket. And no, elevators are shut down. We're evacuating everybody. Had to wait for the fire department as I'm freezing out in front of this hotel. It was so cold.
Was it snowing?
There was snow on the ground. It wasn't snowing at the time, but it was like I said, -7.
Some lady offered him her scarf.
Yeah.
So he's like wrapped up in some woman's scarf.
I did. I took it. There was no shame. She had a parka and everything too. She was fine. But it's not like she was out there freezing and only had a scarf.
You're like, I'll take that. Thank you.
But yeah, so I just have bad weather luck when I travel.
You do. You drove through. What was the hurricane you drove through?
It was the flooding in North Carolina.
That's right. Yes.
And I was
in North Carolina.
Yeah, but I was on the phone with you and you're like, it's raining. I'm like, yeah, it's raining a little bit.
What was going on?
You did, but I was also trying to not stress you out either.
Don't make me sound dumb.
Well, you weren't dumb.
You're in a hurricane?
I don't think it was a hurricane, was it? It might have been a hurricane.
I don't know. I don't remember.
It was some of the worst weather that I've driven through in my Sprinter van because that's all that was available at the rental car place.
He's had some adventures while traveling, for sure.
Yeah. Never missed one, though.
Nope.
So in this one, I called a friend the other day. I haven't talked to him in a bit. I knew he was going through a divorce, and
were they getting divorced or just separated?
They were separated, but definitely the conversation for divorce was happening. And start talking to him on the phone, and out of nowhere, I could tell like he was hurting. So I started asking him questions. He's like, yeah, I know the divorce has got really nasty, and I'm not going to share a lot of the details here, but he was definitely at his lowest, and he made comments to that point to me. And I was trying to talk him through it and let him know that, it's natural, especially when you're going through a divorce or huge changes. He'd been married for a long time. And it really got me thinking that, I know parts of my life I've been at my lowest. I know you do too. Mm-hmm. And that maybe we should talk about that, first off, how do you know, identifying when you're that way, what to do? I mean, we did a whole podcast on reaching in versus reaching out. Like if I know you're at your lowest, how do I reach in? How do I have that conversation? But what if nobody does that? And it's just, you're feeling it. You're in it in that moment.
Yeah.
And
not only what if nobody does that, but also what can you do to try to help get yourself out of it?
Mm-hmm. And how to be open for those olive branches when somebody extends them to you also.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, there's been a couple times in my life where I was just really low. And, it's whether it's, having to leave a job that I enjoyed and paid well because, the retirement system here said, no, you can't work there anymore. Or certain things like that really hit me hard. And I was really just stressed, financially stressed, emotionally down. And all the things that when you look that up, like, well, you need to get out and get some sunlight and go work out and do these things that you love. But I can tell you when I was at that point, those were the last things that I wanted to do. Just getting that motivation to do it. And what I would find myself what I would do is, what you call ruminate. I would just sit there and I couldn't just stop thinking about what I was going through and where I was at and what points, how I was feeling, and that not seeing a way out. And I think a lot of people can understand that and have been in similar situations for themselves, right? Like, is it something external that's causing it? Is it, something that happened to you? Is it internal? Like we get to these points where we're just real down, and it feels hopeless, and it feels like you're not going to be able to get out of it.
Well, and I think it's important to first understand you have to know what low looks like for you, right? Because you could be having a bad day, bad week, whatever. But when you're at your lowest, I think you have to understand how that presents itself. Does that present itself as you disconnecting from everybody? Does that present itself as being really irritable with everybody? How does that present itself so that then you can understand, okay, I'm at a really low point. This isn't just a bad day. This isn't just a bad week. This is, I'm at a really low point right now.
Yeah. I can tell you for me, both of those things. I isolate.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to anybody. And that lends to me also being irritable when I have to. But then when I'm around people I have to be around, then I turn it on, and because I'm ashamed and I want to hide it. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen if people know this is where I'm at? But it is important to identify that in yourself before it happens. Like having an understanding of yourself. Like best case scenario, you're already in therapy. Because listen, just because I was in therapy when I've been at some of my lowest points, and it's not to say therapy doesn't help. It's just sometimes you're just in such a bad place because you do want to isolate. I don't want to go to therapy at those points in my life. I don't want to, talk to anybody or talk about it. I go internal and I go quiet. And I'll tell you that, yeah, it's great when people reach in, but we've also talked about having to be open to that when it happens. And that's a really hard place for me because I'm not. But
and I think people's inclination in that moment, when somebody is reaching in, the inclination is to say, I'm fine, right?
And to minimize it.
Right. To minimize it because you don't even want to have the conversation, right? Because then it calls where you're at into attention, and then you might have to do something about it, which is hard.
Well, even maybe in that point, you're thinking about suicide
right.
And now if I tell you that, then am I going to end up getting, I'll put on a 72-hour hold and lose my job and have to pay all the bills that come with that and all the things that, so you want to, again, hide it. You don't.
Well, and I do think though, I think it is really hard when you're in it like that, it's hard to recognize how deep you're in it. You know what I mean? I've seen you at points where you've been really deep, really low, and you're unable to see how low you actually are, right? Because you are pushing things down, you're trying to avoid it. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's really hard sometimes for people to see just how low they actually are. And I think a way to be able to recognize this in yourself is if you are able to pay attention or recognize what you are avoiding. So are you avoiding workouts when you're normally a person that works out a lot? Are you avoiding eating? Are you avoiding, the loss of appetite? Not like starving yourself on purpose, but are you avoiding food because you don't have an appetite because you're, low? Sleep. Like, are you avoiding sleep? Because when you sleep, either you have trouble sleeping or when you sleep, you have nightmares. Like I think being able to recognize exactly what you're avoiding is also okay. I haven't worked out in 2 weeks, and I'm go to the gym 4 times a week person. So, okay, this is maybe a little bit worse than I thought it was.
Well, and it's building that skill to where to start of doing a self-assessment.
Yeah.
Right? How do I do a self-assessment to identify where I'm really at? Is it, like you said earlier, is it I'm having a bad week? And so because I'm stressed at work, I'm not sleeping, which obviously when you're not sleeping or not eating, that makes everything else work. You're not feeding your body, you're not resting, you're not recharging. So then you feel even worse. And there's been studies out there that 1 or 2 nights of bad sleep can increase suicidal ideations in somebody that was never suicidal before. So the results of those make it worse. So learning how to do a true self-assessment. Where am I right now? Like you said, what am I avoiding? How do I, not avoid that and really let's figure out what's going on for myself.
And I think too, on that same note, looking at what you're telling yourself. What's your inner dialogue? Are you telling yourself that you're weak in this moment? Are you stuffing things down so that you don't have to talk about it? And are you telling yourself, well, if I talk about it, they're going to put me on a 72-hour hold. Or if I talk about it, I'm just weak. I should be able to handle this. I should be doing better at A, B, C, and D. Right. And I think that too is another huge indicator, or it can be, of where you're at mentally.
Yeah. And I like, for a self-assessment like this, sitting down and writing something out. Mm-hmm. You're putting it out onto paper, or whether it's in your notes app or whatever it is, writing something out. How am I really feeling? And because you're not saying it out loud, you're not saying it to somebody. This is, it's journaling to a point, but it's brain more of this assessment. Some big warning signs of people would be better off without me, or, things like that. That's where it's okay, yes, I am really low. I don't see a way out of this. This is only going to get worse. This is how it always is. It's going to continue to get worse. Things like that, those should be, okay, yes, I am definitely at my lowest point. I need help. And then that's the next step, is having that internal strength to take that next step of getting help, whatever that looks like to you. Yeah. Now, obviously, you and I are very big on therapy. I know I'll text my therapist and hey, I'm struggling. Can you meet soon? Have that relationship with him. He knows that if I reach out like that, he's going to clear a schedule and make it happen, whether it's remote or whatever. But so after you do that self-assessment, okay, I'm just having a bad week. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to put my head down. I know it's going to get better. It has every other time this has happened, or I don't see a way out of this. Then it's a big step that I do need help. Yeah. And that should be the result of that self-assessment that you do. I've mirrored that in policing. I used to tell people, I used to teach pursuits, for supervisors, leadership during vehicle pursuits, which are super dangerous. And I used to tell supervisors, the hardest part of taking command of a pursuit is putting that radio up and saying, I'm in control of this pursuit. That's the first, and everything after that just kind of flows naturally. But that first hesitation, it's very similar. I need help, and getting to that point. And then, so once you know you need help and you're going to reach out, what does that look like for you?
I mean, I think reaching out to the right person is important. Mm-hmm. I don't think you need to reach out to many people if you want to. I mean, by all means. But I think too, having the self-awareness that, okay, if I call this person, they're probably just going to try to solve the problem. They might not be super empathetic. If I go to this person, they may be really enabling because they feel so bad that I'm feeling so badly, and enable me to go out and drink myself to death. Or, you know what I mean? I think knowing who your friends and family are, knowing what they can provide, and finding somebody that can be empathetic, can listen, that's not going to try to solve unless that's what you're asking for or wanting, having that awareness to, I'm going to pick the person that I feel like could help me the most in this moment.
Yeah. And I have a couple good friends, obviously you, but I have a couple of good friends that I can reach out to. I had one after a really low point in my life that we went and met up for lunch, and I told him, everything that had been going on, and he was literally mad that I didn't tell him 2 months before. Mm-hmm. He's like, you have to promise me you're going to call me before it ever gets to this point. And, like for me, those are the people that I want to reach out to because I know they're going to support me and not judge me. That's a big one. Whatever I have going on, I don't need that person I don't need that judgment there either. Right. Yeah. So, that's a big one. But yeah, and knowing who you're going to call, again, it's like crisis rehearsal, but internally knowing who you're going to call before you're at that point. Yeah. And maybe even having that conversation with them.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, you're my best friend. If I'm really feeling low, I want to be able to reach out to you. And if they're really truly your friend, of course.
Right.
And so then they know when you have
or the ability to have a loved one. Mm-hmm. Hey, if I'm feeling really low and I'm not in a place, because you at the time that you're referencing, I don't think you realized how deep in you were mentally, right? I know you didn't realize how low you were. And so I think the ability for your partner, spouse, whoever it is, to be able to reach out to that friend and say, hey, I don't think he's doing okay. And can you please reach out to him? Yeah. I think that's important. I think it's something that isn't talked about enough. The spouse being able to have that relationship or that ability to call the best friend or whoever it is, the one person, the emergency contact, and say, hey, he's really struggling. He really needs some help. Can you please reach out? Because he is not going to reach out to you,
Well, yeah, I think, kind of what we're talking about is emergency action plan, but for mental health. Okay, I'm not in that place now, but what if I get there? What are the steps that I'm going to do? What are the steps that you're going to do to support me in those moments? All of that. And what is that going to look like? Mm-hmm. And I think, having some sort of plan in place will definitely help. But if you don't, and you're in that spot, just think about who can you call at 2 a.m. to help you bury a body?
Yeah.
Who is that person that you can call that's going to be there for you no matter what?
Yeah.
They might mess with you 6 months later for waking them up at 2 a.m, whatever. Those are the best kind of friends anyway. Mm-hmm. But who's that person? Know who it is. Think about it in that moment when you're feeling low. I can call Jeremy. He's gonna drop everything and he's gonna be there for me if I need it. Mm-hmm. And
I think too, if you don't have a person like that in your life, if you can identify somebody that you trust, as far as that you could call them. So what I'm thinking about is Josh and I were on a vacation over Thanksgiving, and he got a call from somebody that wouldn't normally call you, but this person needed help and needed somebody to talk to, and Josh talked him through it. And so, I think that's a testament too to being the kind of person that, even though you might just, not be close friends or acquaintances with somebody, that people know that if they're in an emergency or they're feeling really low, they can call you. And I think that's a testament to your character. And I thought that was really cool.
Appreciate that. You have those people in your life that call you too, right?
Yeah.
Because we open up for other people because we've been there. And then, okay, so now you have that person you're going to reach out to, have your plan, but then kind of what I mirror this in other ways in life, because I think it's a good blueprint for doing hard things. And I can guarantee climbing out when you're at your lowest is one of the hardest things you're going to do. And it really is small steps.
Yeah.
It's breaking up to small steps and keep going. And that can be, you know what? I'm not feeling working out today. I'm going to go for a walk. Even though I don't want to, even though I don't, that's the last thing I need to do. I'm going to go out in the sun and I'm going to go for a walk.
Walking is so underrated.
Yeah.
It really does. If you can get outside, if you're not in a polar vortex and take a 10, 15-minute walk, it really does kind of regulate your nervous system.
Well, there's something about being outside, being in the sun, yes, if the sun is there, and motion and movement. Yeah. And, it can have, I'm not going to say a healing factor, but it definitely can help you put things into perspective. It gets you thinking. your blood's flowing, your heart's pumping, and all that. And the same thing with, okay, you know what? I'm going to do everything I can to sleep. And I'm going to force myself to sleep and do everything I know, a dark room, all of that. It's hard when your mind's racing, but I'm going to force myself to sleep. Or, I'm going to make sure I'm drinking enough water. I'm going to force myself to eat a good, nutritious meal. Finding these little small steps and getting a little better each day.
Yeah.
And that's what I told my friend. I was like, I know you feel like you are at your lowest. This is like a roller coaster. And you're going to be low, then you're going to be normal. Sometimes you're going to be high, not high in the, drugs way. Could be. Take a gummy to know.
Okay, we do not endorse drugs on this program.
Just say no. But no, having that faith in that in 6 weeks, if I'm taking these small steps, it will be better. Maybe it just gets a little better each day, but then I'll look back to this point like, yeah, I really was low, and I'm glad I didn't make a different decision. I'm glad I took action.
Well, and you also told him you're going to look back 6 months, a year from now, and you're not going to be in this. Well, God willing, he's not in this same situation, but not going to be in this same situation, and you're going to be so much happier. And it's hard to see that when you're feeling so low. It's hard to see your way out. But like, not to bring up ex-boyfriends or whatever, but I had an ex-boyfriend whose mom always said, and it's stuck with me, like obviously for so long, is things always get better. And such a simple phrase, but I do think of that often about how things really do always get better. And it might not be easier, so to speak, but he's not going to be going through a divorce for the rest of his life. You're not going to be going through, the thing that had you at your lowest. You don't have to go through that for the rest of your life. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that just the acknowledgement that it's not forever. It's a moment, right?
Yeah. Very few things that happen to us in life are permanent. And if you're, again, doing small things over the course of time, have big results. That's what, I'm saying. Like in 6 months, a year, you're going to look back and you're going to realize that you're happier now than you've been in a long time. But you have to do it. You have to put in the work, and you have to have faith, and faith in yourself too. Mm-hmm. So just to recap, we've talked about identifying what low looks like to you, and like, what do you generally do? Do you isolate? Are you irritated or that? Identifying somebody that you can reach out to beforehand. But if not, if you don't have that luxury because you're in it and you didn't do that, just think about who is that person that you trust that you can reach out to, and reaching out to that person before it's too late, before you're completely spiraling, if you can. But if you are spiraling still, hit that pause button and reach out to them. Learning how to do a true self-assessment. And, is this just a bad week, a bad day, or is this something like I'm feeling like hopeless? And that's part of that self-assessment process. And then really just, breaking it up into small things and keep going.
Knowing it won't last forever.
No. And, if you in 6 months, a year, that it's a roller coaster and it's up and down, but you will get there. Eventually you like you said, it always seems to get better. So really, I think, being able to take control of that yourself as a backstop for if there isn't somebody that reaches out or reaches in, or like you said, knowing who you can reach out to reach out to me if I'm at that point. So I know this is shorter than normal, but it was a important topic to talk about, just based on recent events and some of the people in my life that I know several people right now that are working their way out of it. And they did reach out to me, and I was able to give them a little bit of help. I was trying to push them towards professional help too, but just be that friend. I'm caring, not caring. I'm not trying to just fix all their problems, just someone they can talk to. And then for me, I try to reach out to them every day until I'm annoying them, and they're just going to get better because I'm annoying them to get better. But if you liked what we talked about, I do talk about this a lot in my book. The Courage to Live. I talk about some of my low moments and how it felt, and isolation and loneliness and all of that. And you can get it on Amazon. It's called The Courage to Live. And if you like the podcast, please share with a friend, subscribe, leave a review. And I appreciate you spending time with us today.